So how in the world does a company go from basically zero to a $7 billion revenue run rate in just a couple of years? Well, today we're going to break down the playbook of Anthropic, one of the fastest growing companies in history, and distill it into a framework that any of us can actually learn from. So how'd they do it? Let's dive in.
It all started with a goal that sounded, frankly, impossible. In their very first year, Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei told investors they were going to hit $100 million in annual recurring revenue. And a lot of people thought he was completely out of his mind.
And then, if that wasn't crazy enough, the very next year they set an even bigger target, $1 billion. And you guessed it, the skepticism was huge. But they did it, again, proving this was not some lucky one-off.
And that brings us right up to today. Get this. The company is now on track for something like $7 billion in annual recurring revenue. I mean, that's not just fast growth. That's something else entirely. It's a fundamental shift in how value gets created, and it really demands an explanation.
You see this quote from an investor just back in 2023. It just perfectly sums up how unbelievable this all seemed. So what's the secret? How do they pull this off? Well, it all comes down to a few new rules for how you operate in a world that's changing exponentially.
All right, let's break down these new rules. And these aren't just for AI companies. This is for any business trying to figure out what to do next in this new landscape.
Okay, first up is this idea Amodei calls the overhang. Think of it like this. There's this huge, massive gap between what AI can technically do right now and how most businesses are actually using it. Now, the one place you don't see this gap, software development. And it's not because the tech is magically better for them. It's just because developers are the ultimate early adopters. They just get it instantly.
Okay, here's a question for you, and it sounds like a total riddle. How can you lose money while being profitable? I mean, how does that even work? But it's actually key to understanding the economics of these AI companies.
So Amodei has this great analogy for this. He says you got to think of each AI model like it's its own separate company. So look here. Model A from 2023, it's profitable, it's paying the bills. But all the profit from that model is getting funneled right into building Model C, the one for 2025, which costs 10 times more to create. So on paper, the whole company looks like it's burning cash, right? But what's really happening is that their older, successful products are funding these huge, huge bets on what's next.
Now, this whole economic model, it only makes sense if you buy into a certain mindset, a philosophy. Anthropic calls it being AGI-Pilled. Basically, it just means you design everything, your products, your financial plans, the whole shebang, assuming that AI is going to get wildly, exponentially better, month after month. You can't build for today. You have to build for where the puck is going.
And this mindset totally changes how you think about building products. On one hand, you've got these compensatory products. They're basically just wrappers or band-aids that fix the flaws in today's AI. The problem, as soon as the next better model comes out, poof, your product is totally useless. But complementary products, they're different. They're built to leverage the direction AI is headed. So as the models get smarter, these tools actually become more and more valuable. Okay, so let's get practical. How does this whole AGI-Pilled thing actually shape your products, your teams, and your overall strategy?
It's interesting, right? Anthropic says they're a platform company, but they also build their own apps like Claude. So why do both? Well, it comes down to three really smart reasons. First, it puts them directly in touch with real users. You can't beat that feedback. Second, it helps their team build better product instincts, a real gut feel for what people want. And third, it makes it super easy for big companies, the enterprise customers, to just jump in and start using it, no complex API work required.
So, where should you even point this powerful AI? Where are the biggest opportunities? Well, the key insight, the big aha moment, is this. The real bottleneck in our society isn't a lack of smart people. We have plenty of smart people. The bottleneck is their time and their attention.
John Collison, the co-founder of Stripe, had a great way of putting this. He said, when you see a brilliant doctor, you're getting access to all their years of training, but they might only have 10 seconds to think just about your problem. AI? It doesn't have that problem. It can dedicate itself to your problem for minutes, hours, whatever it takes.
And once you see this pattern, this intelligence-limited problem, you start seeing it everywhere. Think about it. Healthcare, customer service, getting your taxes done, these are all fields where the tasks are kind of repetitive, but every single case is a little bit different. That's the sweet spot for AI.
Okay, but building all this cool stuff creates a massive, massive challenge. Because in AI, a breakthrough that's worth $100 million, it might just be a handful of lines of code. So how in the world do you protect that? And maybe more importantly, how do you keep the brilliant people who wrote it from walking out the door?
Well, Anthropic's approach here has a few different layers. Sure, they do the obvious stuff, like compartmentalizing who knows what, but that's not the real secret. The secret sauce is a culture that is just built on trust and having a mission that everyone really truly believes in. And it works. They have the highest employee retention in the entire AI industry. It's incredible. They basically beat cynicism by just doing what they say they're going to do, over and over again.
All right, so let's bring this all home. What does this mean for you? We're going to boil it all down to 3 key takeaways for your own playbook.
Okay, number 1, that overhang we talked about, that is your biggest opportunity right now. Seriously, if all AI research just stopped today, we'd still have enough new tech to build a decade's worth of amazing products. Number 2, don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to change your whole company overnight. Instead, create small, nimble strike teams. Let them experiment, let them build things, and create some momentum. And finally, number 3, you have to change your thinking. Think in power laws, not straight lines. Think exponentially. A model that's twice as good doesn't just create twice the value. It often creates 10 times the value, or even more.
So look, the most important thing to take away from all of this is that this isn't science fiction. This isn't something that's going to happen in the future. The exponential shift is happening right now, as we speak. And really, the only question left is, are you going to ride that wave, or are you going to get crushed by it?
And that leaves us with one last big question. A question for you to really think about. It's the very question that drives every single thing Anthropic does. Are you building for the world that's coming? Or are you busy perfecting a strategy for a world that's already gone?